Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for having me in this beautiful city. Thank you for coming and attending this session. I know that for some strange reason, after lunch, session become harder. I don't know why. And by the way, my name is Massimo Ferrari, and I am Strategy Director in the Management BU at Red Hat. And today, I'm going to talk about the requirements, the key features, the key ingredients needed to build an enterprise cloud based on Openstack. When we talk about enterprise cloud, we are talking about those clouds intended to serve traditional enterprises. Are we talking about traditional banks, traditional insurance company, healthcare companies? Okay? And that leads us, okay, to a first question, to the big question, the million-dollar question. Is an enterprise cloud based on Openstack a reality, is a thing? Because in the last few years, we heard a lot of doubts about the enterprise readiness of Openstack, about the maturity on Openstack. So there is any large customer, any large enterprise outside who is actually running, who has built and is running an enterprise cloud built on Openstack. Well, what you see in the slide are a bunch of numbers that I have collected in the last few months and represent the adoption in production of Openstack into some industry verticals relevant to the enterprise world. So the answer is yes. Actually, enterprise cloud based on Openstack are a reality. And well, we are seeing this growing adoption because of the increasing maturity of Openstack code, when we talk about the core services, of course, and because the introduction of several capabilities that are needed by large customers. For example, the identity federation in Keystone that Jonathan was talking about this morning. Okay? However, we have to face the fact that despite Openstack is a powerful and flexible infrastructure as a service engine, is not enough to build an enterprise cloud. Openstack needs to be complemented by a number of services, by a number of capabilities, by a number of characteristics that are needed in large environments, in large enterprises. And well, I'm not the only one saying that. I think that one of the first to say such a thing was the cloud chief engineer at eBay. And as you probably know, eBay is one of the early adopters of OpenStack in production and one of the main contributors to the OpenStack community. And well, they shared some numbers during the OpenStack Summit in Vancouver, and they're currently running more than 20% of their web and middleware workloads in production on OpenStack. And they're running 100% of their dev and test workloads on OpenStack. So we are safe to say that we can trust them, okay? And the second quote you read is from Alan Waite, who is a Gartner analyst who interacts with hundreds of customers of the same size of eBay, okay? So we say that we need a number of capabilities, of services to be put on side of OpenStack to build an enterprise-grade cloud with OpenStack as one of its foundation components. And we have identified 4 key ingredients. The first one is having an enterprise-grade support. Because support is extremely relevant for all the open source projects, but especially for a complex project such OpenStack. Okay? And the support, especially the enterprise-grade support, have several different dimensions. And here you see 6 dimensions that we have identified in an article that has been published during the summit in Vancouver on the blog of my team in Red Hat. Okay? We don't have time today to go through all the points, but I want to briefly mention them because are relevant for this presentation. The first point is having support, having proven expertise in your partner in the underlying operating system. Because we all know that OpenStack is strictly tied to the operating system. OpenStack leverages a number of facilities, a number of libraries from the operating system. It cannot be easily decoupled, okay? And just to give you an example, Time Warner Cable on stage in Vancouver said, kernel panic happened, kernel panic happened, kernel panic happened. Can you afford to have a kernel team in your organization, or are you going to rely on a kernel vendor in your vendor list? So that's why it's extremely important to have a proven support and expertise on the underlying operating system. The second point is security, because like any other piece of software, Openstack is prone to security vulnerabilities. Well, the difference is that we are talking about an orchestrator, and this orchestrator is meant to run all those precious applications that your line of business use every single day to make the profit of your company. So it's extremely relevant, it's extremely important to have a partner able to prevent, where possible, and to quickly react to any security breach that could happen in the environment, okay? Third point, certification and compliance, extremely easy to explain. Let me just make a simple question. Who are you going to call when you experience a storage corruption on your Windows virtual machine running on top of a KVM hypervisor installed on an IBM Blade server connected to a NetApp storage through an Emulex HBA in a non-certified OpenStack environment? Okay, I think it's pretty much self-explaining, okay? Then we have vertical consulting, because even if OpenStack is supported by all the largest vendors on the market and have this remarkable community that is providing a lot of integration, a lot of plugins to many different softwares, in a large environment, the orchestrator needs to interact with an heterogeneous and very large number of enterprise systems. So you need a partner able to adapt your private cloud to your very own business and able to improve, able to transform your private cloud while your business is transforming. Then we have code indemnification, which is an emerging topic at C-level conversation when they talk about choosing an OpenStack distribution. Because even if community contributors are very talented professionals and deeply expert in their own areas, they are still human. So copyright infringement could happen when you write open source code. And large customers pretend to be protected, but not only from a legal standpoint. Also, they need a partner able to replace a piece of software that is accused of being violating copyright. Okay? And the last point helped me to go through the rest of my presentation, and is extended cloud management. So we are talking about a number of tools that need to be put side by side to the core services of OpenStack to provide those kind of capabilities that large customers need. And we face in Red Hat this need of extended cloud management with a multi-layer approach. If you look at the slide, starting from the bottom to the top, you find what we call elements, logical elements. And we are talking about hosts. When we talk about bare metal, we are talking about virtual machines and containers. And on top of those elements, we find a first layer of management, let's say an operational management, okay? Where you find OpenStack, our OpenStack distribution, side by side with Rev, our traditional virtualization product, and OpenShift, our platform as a service offering. And those elements provide a specific management layer for those specific elements. That's why there is a second layer of management on top of this one, provided by Satellite and CloudForms, who puts together all those different elements and manage them as a single cloud. Okay? Of course, this management strategy is part of a larger portfolio that we created following a vision that we called Open Hybrid Cloud. Open Hybrid Cloud is based on a simple but very powerful concept. That is that we must serve the business, we must provide the tools to empower the line of business to do what they want in the way they want. But at the same time, we need to protect the business. We need to protect the corporate information, the sensible information that may be put at risk by the line of business in their research of the latest technology, in their research to obtain the best possible results from the latest technology. And of course, this portfolio has been built on top of one of our core principles, our core belief that open source is the right way to provide technology to enterprise customer, to provide innovation to enterprise customer. And that's why, as you see in this slide, all the products that are part of this portfolio are strictly connected to their open source counterpart. And we are talking about a two-way connection where community provide codes to our solution, but we provide code to the community. As you probably know, if you don't, you can find the statistics online. We are one of the main contributors of the Openstack community. But why we have built a portfolio in such a specific way? Well, here we find the second key ingredient to build an enterprise cloud based on Openstack. And the point is that in a large environment, you find several different kinds of workloads, each one with its specific needs that need to be served by a different engine. You cannot serve all these different workloads in a single bucket. Two main families that you have heard about all the day, okay? Traditional workloads designed to scale up and cloud-native workloads designed to scale out. And you are probably going to serve traditional workloads through bare metal or traditional server virtualization. And you are probably going to serve cloud-native workloads through infrastructure as a service or through platform as a service, depending on the level of abstraction you are familiar with, your company is comfortable with, okay? And why I have to serve those different kind of workloads with different engines? Let me give you an example. Think about yourself doing home repairing in a sunny weekend in your house. You need to fix a door, you need to fix a window, you need to paint a wall. Are you going to use a hammer to do all these different tasks, or are you going to use different tools specifically designed to solve different problems? We are in the very same situation. The only difference is that all these different workloads can be part of a more complex process, can be part of a single application. Of course, this is just an example, but to give you an idea, here we have an application made of 4 different components where we have a traditional relational database hosted on bare metal. Then we have a middleware component hosted on server virtualization, traditional server virtualization. Then we have a load balancer, which lives in an infrastructure as a service, and a web front-end, new generation application, could be a web service, could be a web interface specifically designed to be deployed and to live on platform as a service. And of course, we have different products to serve these different engines. We have different tools to serve these different kind of workloads. We have Red Hat Enterprise Linux, our well-known operating system for bare metal. We have Red Hat Enterprise Virtualization for traditional server virtualization. Our OpenStack distribution, Red Hat Enterprise Linux OpenStack platform, the longest name on the market, and OpenShift, our platform as a service offering. But now you have this complexity, now you have this application made of different pieces running on different engines. So you have risen the complexity a lot. Are you creating an enterprise cloud? No, you need another ingredient, the third ingredient. But before talking about the third ingredient, we have to stop for a moment on the concept of hybrid. Because we all know the most common definition of hybrid cloud, so the coexistence of private cloud and public cloud together. But interacting with hundreds of customers, we understood that hybrid is a way less precise term in the mind of the people than we thought at the beginning. What we understood, talking with our customer and with other customers, is that talking about hybrid means talking about the coexistence of different worlds, the coexistence of different ITs, legacy IT and next generation IT. For who is familiar with the concept of bimodal IT by Gartner, we are talking about Mode 1 and Mode 2 IT. And that means, of course, the coexistence of traditional virtual infrastructures and cloud infrastructures. And that means, in the cloud world, the coexistence of infrastructure as a service and platform as a service. And finally, we arrive at the most common definition, so the coexistence of private cloud and public cloud. But in the end, what we are talking about is what we have seen when we were talking about the first ingredient, so the multi-tier infrastructure. That is what we call multi-tiered infrastructure, okay? Okay. And that is the coexistence of traditional workloads and cloud-native workloads. But, okay, now you have in your data center, in your infrastructure, all this diversity, this marvel of diversity, these different workloads. Are you doing a hybrid cloud? Are you doing a hybrid cloud in an enterprise way? No, if you are managing all these different engines, all these different buckets as silos, you are not doing cloud in any way. What you need is the third ingredient. The third ingredient is multi-layer consistency, providing multi-layer consistency. And we identified 3 different layers, 2 mandatory and 1 optional, we will see later why, that need to be provided to put all together this multi-tier infrastructure to create an enterprise cloud. The first layer of consistency is consistency at the infrastructure level. And we are talking about those components who make what the market calls software-defined data center. So we are talking about hardware abstraction, okay? And we provide this kind of consistency with 2 different products. Red Hat Enterprise Linux, which provides compute consistency, providing compute power on bare metal, providing the foundation for KVM on both traditional server virtualization and Openstack, and provide the foundation for containers in our platform as a service offering. As you probably know, we launched a couple of months ago a specific edition of Red Hat Enterprise Linux called Atomic Host, specifically tailored to have minimum footprint and to increase container density. Then we provide a second dimension of consistency at the infrastructure level through Red Hat Storage, which is made of 2 different products, Gluster and Ceph. And of course, there is a third dimension, that is the software-defined networking, and we don't have a commercial product yet for this dimension, but as you probably know, we are very active in the Open Daylight community. So that's the beginning of an exploration to provide even this third dimension of consistency at the infrastructure layer. The second layer is consistency at the platform level. What I've said is an optional layer. Why optional? Because we are talking about middleware here, and a lot of customers prefer to bet on several different technologies to build their application, to run their application. And we are perfectly fine with that, but for those customers who want consistency, even at that level, we offer it with JBoss Enterprise Application Platform, our middleware solution certified to run on all these different buckets, certified to run on OpenStack, traditional virtualization, and all the other buckets. And that leads us to the third layer of consistency. The third layer of this third ingredient, multi-layer consistency, arguably the most important, because we are talking about cloud, hybrid cloud, enterprise hybrid cloud, which is consistency at the management level. We are talking about providing, in a single pane of glass, governance of all these different engines, of all these different buckets, of all these different workloads, scale up and scale out workloads. We are talking about providing, in a unified way, policy enforcement, security hardening, monitoring, and several other capabilities required by a large customer. And we provide consistency at that level with two products: Red Hat Satellite, which is our configuration management product, and Red Hat CloudForms, which is, according to Gartner terminology, our cloud management platform. So we have now 3 layers of consistency. We have a consistent infrastructure, a consistent platform, and a consistent management. The third ingredient that is called multi-layer consistency. And with the same product, with the same logic, we can extend this very same kind of consistency even when we face the common definition of hybrid cloud. So the coexistence of private cloud and public cloud. So we can extend each one of these layers using the same product through private cloud to public cloud. And that leads us to the fourth and last ingredient, to build an enterprise cloud with Openstack as one of its building block, of its foundation block, which is having in place a multi-vendor support strategy. Because, well, we will be more than happy to see everywhere the entire red stack to our customer, but we know that the enterprise world is much more complex than that. We know that enterprise customer, well, all the customers have already technology in place, have contracts running, have long-term strategies, and they deserve the freedom to choose the tool they want, the vendor they want to run their workloads. And we are perfectly fine with that, and we are so used to this situation that I can also provide you an example. Here we have, for example, a customer that could run bare metal workloads using Red Hat Enterprise Linux. And the traditional server virtualization is provided by VMware vSphere. Yes, I've said the name. And then we have Red Hat Enterprise Linux Openstack platform as the on-premises infrastructure as a service engine. And then we have a public cloud provider provide the infrastructure as a service, that is AWS. But even in this situation, we can keep the same level of consistency at the management level through CloudForms, able to manage all these different vendors, all these different buckets. And for those customers who want this level of consistency, we can provide it at the platform level with JBoss, which is certified to run on all these different products from all these different vendors. So, 4 ingredients to build an enterprise cloud based on OpenStack: enterprise-grade support, multi-tier infrastructure, multi-layer consistency, and multi-vendor support. And we believe so strongly in this principle, and we believe so strongly in the fact that open source is the right way to provide innovation to customers. And we all are seeing that in the last few years, that there has been an evolution where open source has changed to be, is passed to being accepted, to be requested. If you think about all the modern startups who started their business in the last few years, they went straight forward to open source technologies, and not because they have to save money, but because they recognize that a large, active community of talented people is the right way to answer to problems that simply weren't there 10 or 15 years ago. But we also recognize that open source software needs to be complemented by a number of services to be made consumable by enterprise customer. And that's why we offer 10-year support for our operating system, one of the longest support on the market. And we recently raised our support for Red Hat Enterprise Virtualization to 5 years. And we are working hard to have the same level of support even for our OpenStack distribution. And we believe in certification. That's why we launched a bit more than 1 year ago a vertical certification program on Openstack, one of the most successful on the market. And now we have more than 200 certified partners in this program. And we also believe, and we invested and are investing a lot in our consultancy branch, and that's why you probably know that we bought Innovance last year to empower, to bring more fuel to our vertical consultancy branch on OpenStack, on the cloud, okay? So, I think that's all for today. Thank you for attending the session. Enjoy your afternoon. That was quick.